بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت السميع العليم. It is an honor to be here in Chicago. It's an honor to be part of this convention. And it's an honor to share with you guys my passion, my life, Spanish language, history, Islam, everything coming together. I'm going to share with you a perspective. My job today is to come and kind of refocus. We have done, I'm going to tell you, I speak 5 languages, right? So I read sources in 5 different languages. I can see it from every language is a different view of the world. So if you read Arabic sources, you get a very different view of this history, Islam, Spain. And if you read it in Spanish, you get a completely different oral view. And if you read it in French, you get another completely different oral view. Where is the perspective? How do we understand what happened? I'm going to pick up where, actually, one of the things that you said that really is deep, which is we were moving too fast, and it was too much and too fast. But it wasn't the problem of going too fast or going too much. I think the problem was that as we were moving too fast and too much, there were growing feelings in Europe. Remember what we're doing. Remember, this entire experience is basically what we're trying to understand is Islam in Europe. We're not really understanding Islam in Spain. First of all, it's not Spain. It's Spain and Portugal. So it's the Iberian Peninsula or Europe receiving Islam. The other experience of Europe receiving Islam is Eastern European experience. So you got European world, Roman Empire collapsing. This is what you're having right now. The Roman Empire has collapsed. You get the Eastern Roman Empire, you get the Western Roman Empire. Islam, there's a verse in the Quran in a chapter that talks about the Romans are collapsing. And then you have the Muslims are actually advancing in what used to be the Byzantine Empire in the East. And now they're coming in the West, which is the Western Roman Empire. You really have 2 centers of power that are feeling a threat. You got Constantinople on one end, you got Rome on the other, and everybody's trying to protect their places, right? So this is what you're dealing with, and this is what we are trying to understand, right? This is to refocus what's happening in a global sense. So when you have the Eastern Roman Empire collapsing, and sooner or later those pieces become Arabized, Islamized, however you want to see it, right? And then you have the movement in the West. And yes, too fast and too much because it was all the way to France. Well, there was a reaction. To every action, there's a reaction. So the reaction to the movement too fast, if you wish, or arriving all the way too close to Paris, right, where Poitiers was the battle that was lost. Again, I'm not a historian, I'm a linguist. I never expected to bring in politics, religion, power into play. But if you want to understand language, you got to understand all of that. Arabization is very powerful, and de-Arabization is also very powerful. Why? Because Arabization is connection to a text, to the Quran. You get the Arabization going, you understand your text, you get better understanding, you don't need translations. You can actually read first-hand account. Understand the text for yourself, right? And that's what happened in Iberian Spain. Iberia became Arabized. That's what happened. So everybody was Arab. Yes, I agree with you. There were different groups. Yes, there were the tribal differences. There were the Berbers. And yes, the very few that came from Damascus. I wanted to know numbers. I actually wanted to know statistics. How many Arabs left Arabia and went to Spain to live? And how many left in Damascus and went to Spain? Well, wait a minute. How many people came from Yemen and went to Spain? And how many Berbers left and went to Spain? And how many were the locals? And what kind of locals? And it's crazy because the locals are not even one group. The locals, there's your Celtics, you get the Visigodos, you get the Godos, you get different tribes. So it's like a big group of tribes. If you want to understand it, it's like a mosaic. You know how Spain shows all these mosaics with beautiful colors? That's the society, that's how it was. And religiously, it was very divided. Why? Because religiously, this was the Western Roman Empire, yes? And you're dealing with a different kind of Christianity that was not Rome and had its own friction in its own. And so here comes Islam with that Roman Empire trying to impose, the Catholicism, and this is what's happening. And then you get the Jews who were oppressed, the Jews, they claimed the land as Sephardic Jews, right? Who were there earlier, feeling oppressed. Now the Muslims are coming and they're feeling, wait a minute, we can actually be we can join this crowd. We can be a part of this experience. We have upward mobility. Yes, you touched upon something important, which is the economic growth. If it wasn't for economic prosperity, nobody wants to join in. Nobody wants to be part of this. So it's not about, yes, here is La ilaha illallah and it's nice to, have this faith and it's beautiful. But where is this? How is this benefiting me on a daily basis? If you're going to help the poor and the needy and there's going to be prosperity, you're going to be building some bridges, you're going to put some roads, you're going to help the agriculture, the economy, all of this. Yes, welcome, not just welcome. You're actually improving my livelihood. Well, he said something really powerful. I'm going to pick up on his presentation, I'm sorry. But he talked about golden age. Who's golden age to who? Who's naming history? Golden age to who? To the Muslims? But that's when Europe calls it the Dark Ages. So what are you talking about? Who is a golden age for you or is it a golden age for them? Because in Spain, they consider actually 16th century, which is right after the collapse of Granada, el siglo de oro or los siglos de oro. So they consider the century of gold or the golden century or the golden centuries to be right after the fall of fall of Granada, I'm sorry. So the point is, perspective is really key to knowing and reading and maneuvering this history. I want to tell you that as a researcher, as a student of Spanish, as a student of Islamic studies, as a student of being a Muslim, knowing all these languages, it was torture. Trying to understand what happened was torture because it's bringing all these pieces together that don't make sense. I'm going to show you some of the very difficult things that I had to maneuver. Number one, from the Spanish end, the story is told as such. Those extraterrestrial Arabs crossed Gibraltar, came, vacationed for about 781 years. Then they left because they won, we lost. The we won, they lost, we out, gone, killed, gone, finished. Europe is clean, no more Muslims. We got it, right? Stories told. Beautiful, everyone believes it, everyone buys the story. I bought it, you bought it, they bought it, Arabs bought it, everybody bought the story, right? Well, here it is. I'm coming in as a researcher trying to understand how is it possible, as a linguist, that Spanish language today has between 4,000 to 10,000 words of Arabic. That's where I'm coming in. I'm very pure. I'm no agenda. I'm not coming in politics. I don't want to know anything. I just want to know how these words came from here, were borrowed there, who did this business of linguistic borrowing, who's caring enough to say la camisa and take it from here and put it there. What's going on? Who were those people? Well, the story of the who led me to how this whole process of Arabization happened. Because Arabization is part of that process. Okay, so how did this Arabization happen? Building schools, universities, educating the people, open education, educating everyone, right? To the point that the Europeans would send from the rest of Europe, the North would send their children to get education in the Muslim world with a few years of prerequisite Arabic to kind of join the universities and to be a doctor or an architect or anything, right? The prerequisite was Arabic. So again, Arabization, Arabic, they're coming in to learn. So I looked at de-Arabization. I want to know, okay, how is lost? So I studied theories of language loss. Is this a language that has completely died? Is this a language death? Because look, in Spain today, there are other languages other than Spanish that we know, Castilian, right? There's Catalan, Gallego, Asturiano, Leonés. All these languages are spoken today. So it's not just like Spanish. So if all these languages that have like 200 people who speak it, or very few speakers are alive, Arabic that was there for 903 years is dead. So the people died. They're all gone. They're not here, right? They're not here. Must not be here. Or that's how I wanted to say, or that's how I thought it was. Up until I hit the archives and I started looking and digging. So my advisor at UCLA, She told me, Mariam, I want you to go to Spain and start looking for the documents that show Arabic text. Like find the early last ones that were written. Well, turns out that, in history, there's a lot of books burned. So, wow, I'm going to look at what survived the burning. Okay, so what survived all the burning? Because Arabic text in 1525, Arabic was banned as a language. You could not use it anymore. And anything that was written in Arabic was heresy, and the church considered that to be anti-church. It didn't matter what the content was. It could be a contract from your house. It could be a doctor's note for what medicine to take. Or it could be a Quran, or it could be anything. It didn't matter. It was all heresy. It all had to be destroyed. So I became a hunter for paper that was left to tell me a story of people that are gone. And when I did that, I realized they're not gone. They are not gone. Oops, they're here. Wait. So now it's very uncomfortable because now I found documents, and the more I found documents, the more I felt like, okay, I don't know how to explain this. Because wait a minute, they're gone. Well, the story goes like this. You have in 1501, Muslims going to the Ottoman Empire right after the fall of Constantinople, and Muslims transforming it into Istanbul, right? Going to the Sultan and asking for protection. Hey, we have situations getting hard. There's battle, there's loss of battlefield, and we kind of need to know if you guys would come and help us out. He said, yeah, sure, we're coming, but from the east. You just have to wait. Just keep it cool. Don't show off your Islam too much, kind of like crypto-Islam concept. Crypto-Islam until we come. Well, until we come, they were stopped in Vienna in the 1600s. So they did it for a long time. This is one fact of why Islamically it's halal to do this, okay? Because someone told you in leadership, we're coming. And they were coming, and they were marching in the east. So there's nothing for me to think that the Turks and the Ottomans are not coming. They are coming. Los Turcos, right? They're coming. Got it. And the other thing is they also got a fatwa from North Africa that they can actually do that to protect their land and protect their home. Here's what I want to tell you. Did they really come? Did the same people from 7-Eleven are the same people in the 1500s? Of course not. You're dealing with like this is home, right? You buried your ancestors and how many people are buried there, your business, your land, your home, and you're just going to like pack and go? And wait, where are you going to go? To the Muslim world? They're going to open their arms. Hey, everybody, refugees, please come to me. You guys lost your battles in Spain. No problem. We will love you. We will open our arms. We will receive you. We care about you so much. Really? Like really? Like for real? No, they didn't. A lot of people stayed. And I understand why they stayed. I actually do understand. Because you get the humiliation. You go and be a beggar in some other country, begging for a job or begging or saying, I used to be good in my country, but, turns things bad, sour, I'm sorry. Leadership, corrupt leaders, you know what it means. You know what that feels like, right? You know what that feels, refugee lifestyle, you know what that feels like? Yeah? But I used to be good. I don't want to look bad. And wait, I got baptized because, in my country, I couldn't continue my citizenship without this baptism. So if I go to the Muslim world, well, you're not really a Muslim anymore, are you? You got baptized by the church. You're a coward. Not just a coward, you don't even know how to defend your country. Not even though you don't know how to defend your country, your leaders are all corrupt. Well, you get picked upon. Oh my God, not only I have the pain of me not able to, but also my fellow brothers and sisters who will just jump on my case. So guess what? 1492, Columbus sailed west. Who wants to leave Spain in 1492? So I did my research in Mexico, and I couldn't believe I would find Muslims in Mexico. I was like, what? They came here? Of course they came here. Why wouldn't they? Nobody knows who they are. They can easily hide. They can easily, if Spain had 17 centers of Inquisition searching and hunting for Muslims and Jews, well, wait a minute. Mexico only had one, and they came later in 1540, in 1570. So it's perfect. Get on the ship. We know the system. We're going to start fresh. Nobody knows who we are. We move west. Who says Ardullah is not open and the land is not big enough for all of us to go wherever we can go? Who's to say, right? So sailing west, I'm on the hunt right now to look for Muslims in Colombia and in Peru. the two other centers of Inquisitions, in Cartagena and in Lima. So yes, inshallah, my next book is on the presence of Muslims in Latin America. But I'm talking about presence not today as current Latino Muslims, and I'm not talking about presence of Muslims who came with the fall of the Ottoman Empire, the Palestinians, the Syrians, this, that, who went. No, I'm talking about early Andalusian Muslims who actually felt, you know what, I'm out of here. Spain is too tough. Arab world is no, I don't know if, open arms, here we go, refugees come to my country. The one country that did it was Tunisia. And there are cities that are mirrored in Tunis today, in Tunisia, that mirror Al-Andalus, but not too many accounts of open arm, please refugees come to me. Why are we looking back? He told us earlier, we're looking back because if we look back, we learn a lot of things today. There's not too many things that change. We are the same people, do the same mistakes. So when I brought together linguistics, literature, history, religious studies, anthropology, political science, and the archives, I was mesmerized. Because then I was able to see things in a very different lens. One of the things I'd like to deconstruct this evening is, number one, this was not Muslim Spain, this is European Islam. That's the first thing I'd like for us to start looking at it this way. Number two, Islam was not in southern Spain. It was the entire Iberian Peninsula. And the documents I found were in northern Spain. So I spent 2 years of my life explaining why Islamic documents would be produced in northern Spain. Because I want them to come from Cordoba and Granada and Sevilla and what I know. But obviously the documents tell me something different. And I need to follow the documents and the documents. One of the people that taught me a very valuable lesson in the archives was asking, the findings in the archives don't make me feel comfortable because they don't go with what I know. And she told me, el archivo hace la historia. So the archive tell history and not the other way around. You don't come in with an agenda trying to prove something in the archive. You actually dig in the archive and try to understand what happens. It's the other way around. Number three, I would like to also share with you this evening is naming. He who writes history, or he who wins he or she, it's a he, most likely. He who tells the story of history. We push our children, and thank you so much for mentioning the importance of history. We push our children so much into, be a doctor. My parents were devastated, when I told them I would do Spanish as a major. My God, you're so smart, do this, at the weekend. This is like a hobby, right? Spanish is a hobby, it's good. Like tennis, right? It's like tennis, it's like sports. They couldn't believe, they're like, no. You can be a doctor. How about dentist? Dentist? Let's negotiate dentistry. No? How about attorney? Attorney? Yes, you can. So my parents, I think the biggest devastation, of course I have a brother who's a computer scientist and the other one is an engineer. So alhamdulillah, we got that covered. I got them to, kind of like push that agenda forward. So kind of, and they're like, okay, she's a girl. We don't have to worry. How khalas, it's okay. It's life, girls, you don't have to really, you try to push, but the end, female, what is she going to do? Nothing. But anyways, I want to tell you that story because if your children or if you see somebody interested in social humanities and social science, tell the story, write who we are. Let's not ignore humanities and social sciences and think of them so little. Like they were telling me, what are you going to do with Spanish? I don't know, but I love it. Why? I could do it on the weekend. It's great. Weekend, right? Hobby after you do medical school, right? Medical school and then hobby Spanish. It's going to help you with your patients. Anything. Until today, my mom, I don't have a PhD. I have a postdoctoral. My mom is like, it's not too late to go back to law school. I got that from my mom recently. Not too long ago, Mom, I have a postdoc in Spanish. She's like, yeah, what is it going to do for you? For us, express. So my mom, when she presents me, my daughter's a doctor, but she's not really a doctor. She's not really. She's like the other doctor, the one that's not going to save your life. That's me, you guys, the one that doesn't save lives, okay? But anyways, naming. Muslims are not called Muslims in that history. Okay, I'll give you an example. In Spain, when they have political control, they're called Moros, the Moors, right? Moors are inhabitants of North Africa. That's the definition, etymologia, like the breakdown of what Moro means. So the Romans called North Africa, there's a country today called Mauritania, right? There's a country called Mauritania, right? So anybody who comes from this region is a Moro, right? That's how they got the term. So even after 781 years of presence, building cities, bridges, all the contributions, they're still Moros. But wait, they start losing territory and they become mudéjares. So today, Islamic art in Spain is called arte mudéjar. And the architecture, Islamic architecture, today it's called arquitectura mudéjar. Well, you're going to say, what's mudéjar? Well, the only thing Muslim of it is the M sound. That's the only thing they preserve very well in all the terms I'll give you, right? So mudéjar is mudajjan, comes from Arabic, like dawajin, like chicken. So it's the art of the chicken or the architecture of the cowards. So ask a Spanish speaker, what's mudéjar? They have no idea. But if you look at the etymology and understanding, wait, is arte mudéjar Islamic art? They're like, no, it has nothing to do with Islamic art. Naming, the power of naming. The third terminology after 1492, they call them moriscos because they were all baptized. Everybody brought all their families. Hey, everybody, let's go to church and get some water and get baptized. Yes, we got all baptized. So everybody's morisco after that because they're not Moro anymore. They're not the North African guys who just crossed over Gibraltar. Now they're like a little more, a little value. They're marginalized, but they're a lot of number, but we don't care. We're just going to marginalize them. They don't have a voice. They're not in political control. They're not in power. They're not talking. We are writing their history. We're destroying their documents. We're destroying their past. We're destroying who they are. They don't even know who they are. We are renaming everybody. The power of renaming. So here it is, published an article in Mexico called The Politics of Unnaming of Muslims in Colonial Mexico. They're not named. You don't name them Muslim. And I asked a question one time, why you don't name them? Well, if you name them, they exist. And if you don't name them, they're not here. That's what it is. We don't exist. We're not there. Why? We're not named. You don't name them, they don't exist. So when I went to Mexico and I came in with my, terminology from Spain, and I think I know my terminology, well, wait a minute. I found 35 names for Muslims, and none of them is Muslim. Not one. Not Arab, not Arabes, not Musulmanes, nothing. Islam is nothing. Zero. Zip in the word search. They're called Sauríes, they're called Elches, Hijos de Elches, they're called Bereberiscos, Bereberes, they're called Ismailíes, Ismailitas, they're called Mahometanos, Mahomedes, Mahometizantes, they're called Seguidores de la Secta de Mahoma, they're called and called and called. And so when I ask the people who study history, who are those people? They're like, are they Muslim? They're like, I don't know. How do you know they're Muslims? I'm like, wait. They wear a white shirt on Friday. They clean themselves. They put their face towards east. It's kind of obvious that they're Muslim. So I'm hunting. I'm your puzzle hunter in the pages of history, trying to build a bridge between really. And I feel empowered. I want to leave you, I have 2 minutes, and in those 2 minutes, I actually want to leave you empowered. I want you to know that Islam is very resilient. So even though we don't know the true story, and there's a lot of powers to fund Islamophobia, and fund who we are, and describe our countries, and rename our people, and de-Arabize, and all that stuff, there's a lot of money funded and used in that thing, but I think we just have to, if we gain awareness that this is an important place to work on, and that people are resilient and continued Islam. I actually feel very empowered. When I found the Quran in the archive, 1580s archive, an ancient document in Mexico, I feel empowered. I feel blessed. That even though they burnt all these documents, one is here to tell me we were here. And this, to me, this non-violent resistance is much more powerful than violent resistance and standing up and making commotions and protests and all that stuff and doing nothing. When you really write and you really change things through writing, people, everyone, I want to close with this hadith. If you don't like something, you can change it, right? You change it with your hand, if you can. Change it with your word, right? Change it with your heart. So there's ways to change, and I think we need to be smart in how we can make a change. Thank you.
The southern part of Spain, a lot of people are becoming Muslim and they're
Yes.
retaining their roots and stuff like that. Can you talk about that?
Yes. They're my friends, the Spanish Muslims. When I travel to Spain, I go visit the different mosques, and I have friends who are Spanish Muslims in different cities, in Córdoba, in Sevilla, in Granada, Barcelona as well. So yeah, the Spanish Muslims basically, before 1975, Franco, as the leading president, was not allowing for any diversity or any religious diversity, if you wish. So after he died, what happened is a lot of people start looking into other faiths and completely leaving the church. If you notice, one of the things that are mind-boggling is the churches in Spain are empty. So a lot of people try to look for, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, and then all of a sudden when people kind of come across this concept that, wait, Moro could be Muslim, and wait, what's Islam, and what's this? What are we really hating about our past or about, So there was a discussion in the early 20th century, a very important discussion in Islam and Spanish identity. And it went this way. There was one scholar who published a book saying the worst thing that happened to Spain is that Muslims were here. He called them el veneno de la península, the poison of the peninsula, was that they came here. That's why Spain is not Germany. If we didn't have the Muslims, we'd be Germany today. But the economy is very slow and everything is really down, and we're trying to catch up in Europe and try to prove our European identity and how white we are and how good we are and all of this. And we're so held behind because, that Muslim brought us down all these centuries, and now we have to fight back up, right? But we're going to make it, and we're going to prove to Europe that we are as German and French and whatever as the rest of Europe, economy-wise and money. But then you have another author, publishing to counter the argument by saying, wait a minute, the reason why we are so unique is because we've had the Muslim, Jewish, and Christian experience, and that's what makes us unique, and that's what gives us a flavor, because we are actually the bridge between Africa and Europe. We know how to connect everybody. We are we got something going because of that diversity. So the discussion about identity is key. What happened with the buildings and architecture is because whatever is preserved and taken care of today that is the number one source of income for, for example, Alhambra is the number one visited place in Europe, right? So it's the number one income, if you wish. You're talking about money, right? It generates so much money, the visits to those places, right? So yeah, let's preserve it. It's beautiful. People love it. People want to come and see it. But when you look at it this way, you say, well, wait a minute, what was going on? And you start digging even deeper and looking more. You would wish that Islamic revival in Spain would come from Spain, but actually the very first converts, Spanish converts, it was in England. And they found Islam in England, went back to Spain and started to found and establish all these communities that are, mashallah, very beautiful. And I encourage you to go and get to meet them. They're amazing. I love them.
Thank you for a fascinating
Yeah.
overview. So I'm actually a doctor here in Chicago, and I read a lot about Islamic medical history, and I find it fascinating. Just a quick comment about the Golden Age. So at least for medicine literature, I can't speak for other literature, the time from 700 to 1400 is actually called the Golden Age in many other literature. because a lot of important medical discoveries happened in the Islamic world at that time. So at least in the medical literature, this part is recognized as a golden, even in non-Islamic literature and so on. Then I have a question for Dr. Mariam. I might have missed the part what happened to the Arabic language after 1400. There was an active removal of the Arabic language from the Spanish or the Iberia area.
It's called a systematic, instilled system of de-Arabization. Systematic. It went in order and in sequence. And it took very, very solid steps until the burning of the text, culminating with banning the language and implementing the banning of the language in the 1570. So we even have speakers who are monolingual. I have documents of speakers who are monolingual Arabic in 1609. Okay? So Arabic was alive and kicking. But there was all these policies to make sure de-Arabization occurs. And yes, de-Arabization occurred, but a lot of concepts, as I told you, crossed over, language borrowing happened in different time periods, by the way. Okay, and people were bilingual, trilingual, and not necessarily Muslim. So there was one account that says, how do you know that by me knowing Arabic, I could not hold the law of Jesus in my heart? And how do you know that if I speak Romance or Spanish, I don't hold the law of Muhammad in my heart? How do you know language? So there was a lot of, someone understood that language and faith go together. Someone knew that if you break up language and faith, you break faith. Like you de-Arabize to de-Islamize. You really want to de-Islamize? De-Arabize. Like somebody got that model understood really well, and they got it.
I think we have a question in the back. Yeah.
So I have two questions. The first one, during your researches, did you visit many old churches in Mexico that has the logo of the Spanish Muslim government, the Allah? The second question, you said that people from England went south to study this day. During your research, did you read anything about the king of Farex and his poem that has the La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and he was Muslim for 40 years and he has troubles with the Roman Empire because he was following the Spanish government?
Okay. The flag in Mexico, I'd like for you to take me there. I want to see it. I saw other things. I saw Jesus wearing a crown with Allah on it, but with Arabic crown, in Guadalajara. But I don't know about the flag. I didn't see that one. And then the other thing is about the king. We need to do more research on it. I actually read an article, but I don't have more information to. So yeah, I read about it, and it would be nice if we have more researchers. Did I really inspire young people to dig into our history? I hope I did.
I believe we had
We're done. I think.
we have time for more questions. I believe we had people standing at the microphone. If we have questions for Brother Islam Hadi and Dr. Mariam Saada. Questions.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm also a physician, anesthesiologist, and just a background. Also have the same passion for language and history, and I was told to keep it as a hobby, so I've tried to keep it that way. And studying French for 5 years, I'm trying to teach myself.
Join my research team. It's not too late. I'll tell you what my mom tells me.
Leading up to that, one thing we've been told is like a family legend is that we're originally from Cordoba and escaped from there to Morocco and eventually Lebanon. And
What's your last name?
Abu Maray. So I don't think I'm not sure it has anything to do with that. There's a couple other Lebanese Abu Maray, so I'm sure there's been some intermingling. And we supposedly have a Quran taken by an estranged cousin that was written from the Andalusian days. But in this interest, I've tried to pursue Islamic achievements in medicine, especially from the Golden Age. And I recently wrote an essay on things like accomplished by Ibn Sina and Averroes and the Bukhari stuff from from Al-Andalus and submitted it in one of the criticisms in the essay that was actually eventually refuted. It may have just not been the best essay, but one thing was accuracy. So they questioned the accuracy of a lot of the research and stuff that I wrote. So I still feel we do have a lot of work to do, because in my upbringing and studying in school and stuff, we didn't really learn anything at all about the contributions of Islamic Iberia or Islamic medicine anywhere in my education whatsoever. That's all from, I think, a passion that I learned from my parents. So I still think we have a lot of work to do, and Islamophobia has done a big construct in kind of to take away the naming and the accomplishments of things we've done and contribute to society. And I wonder if, as a comment from you, you have any sort of rebuttal recommendation, someone such as myself who's still trying to look and read about this, what kind of resource to look into.
Hit the archives.
The what?
Hit the archives.
Hit the archives.
Come with me and come to see the archives. Actually, one of the girls in the archives in Mexico was doing medicine and plants, and she told me that she found a bunch of documents in Arabic. And she's like, when did you come and study medicine, the herbal contribution and medicine in Arabic in Mexico? So I told her, I'm sorry, I do other things, but it's open. The documents are there. Please come. So do you see how people have the passion? You see, the passion is the key word.
We have time for one more question.
I'm going to make it real brief so you can also go. Just a very quick question. I mean, I don't have a quick answer, but Isabella, in terms of my estimation and humble study, not academic or non-professional, it seems with her there was a major shift that took place. And it seems the way, I began to see it, there's a trajectory that actually went throughout Europe on how to deal with Muslims. Whereas before there was maybe discrimination, it was political power, for Alfonso and Ferdinand III, etc. It was more of political power, and yes, there was a discriminatory element toward Muslims. But with her, there seemed to be a shift now of almost an intolerance completely for the faith.
Do you know why?
Well, that's what I wanted to know if the assessment, number one, is correct.
Yes, it is. Okay. Yes, of course.
And then secondly, I guess, can you maybe just comment on this notion of, because the naming and the idea of pure blood, what was the issue of why Moriscos couldn't be true Christians? What was the issue of them calling them Moors? Because I think it also shows about a European psychology that we're seeing today. The naming, yes, has a purpose to try to eliminate, but behind that, there is also another element, right? That you cannot be because you are something else, right? So if you can just comment on that notion of pure blood, which begins, that I see historically, now I could be wrong, that begins actually in Spain.
Yes, it is.
Pure blood.
Exactly.
White supremacy.
Yes.
Through this, and
yes.
Coming post Isabella. So if you can just make a comment on those.
Okay, well, this is great. Isabella, well, Isabella married Fernando, and she inherited the throne of Castilla. The reason why everybody speaks Spanish is because of her. So her Castilla is Castellano, the language, which is Spanish today. She inherited that big throne, right? The big Castilla. And Fernando was the king of Aragon, which is a little, much smaller kingdom, which is today's Barcelona area, right? So if you can wish, you can see the perspective. She was very young, 16-year-old. Look up her age. And she shifted history. She didn't just shift Europe, she shifted history. Because what happened is, with her marriage, it was not just she married Fernando. This was a marriage between church and state. So Cisneros, her personal advisor, was really the head of state. Everything that happened after that he was running the show. So Cardenal Cisneros was doing all the work. The burning of the Muslim texts. There's a lot of things I don't forgive him for. Like, one of his personal things against somebody. It's really, he had that vision of the de-Arabization, the vision for the destruction of the text, the vision of the destruction of the past, the vision of the superimposition of a church on top of a mosque. See, you could destroy the mosque and build a church next to it. But keeping a mosque alive and just transforming the construction, that's his thought. It's his idea of why you have to keep humiliating people over and over again to remind them on a daily basis. This is where you prayed yesterday. It's, I own your soul. I don't own you. I don't own your land. I don't own your building. I own your soul, right? That's very incredible thinking. But that was the 16th century twist. So Isabel was huge, definitely. And of course, the Conquista de America happened during that time with all the ideology from, Isabel and Fernando, but really it is Isabel. She made Fernando sign the expulsion of the Jews, and his mom is Jewish. So how did she manage? The Jews can't forgive that. I mean, how did she make him sign the Jewish expulsion? 1492. How did you do that? He signed it. Marrying, I don't know, something. But again, looking at that, and then pure blood. In order for someone who's a citizen of this Iberian or Spain, because Portugal was divided at the time. So Spain, right? This United Kingdom. If you want to be part of that United Kingdom of Castilla and Aragon, you have to buy a certificate from the church to prove that for 3 generations, you do not have Muslim or Jewish blood in you. So yeah, people had money and went and bought the certificate. If you have money, this is how you get upward mobility. So this pure blood concept is not pure. Nobody's pure. Everybody intermarried, like everything you can imagine. So this concept of pure, clean people or a racial Islam as a race was born in the, when people say Islam is like, also the term moro in Spanish could be dark skin, moro, moreno, right? Dark skin. Since when is religion a color of skin or a racial concept? Since when? Since that birth, that concept of the certificate, proving how Spanish are you? So how Spanish are you is how little Jewish or Muslim presence you have in your system, which is really odd because you see, I want to know why the Spanish Inquisition was up and running and live and kicking for 354 years after Granada. What are you doing for 354 years? They ended the Inquisition in the 1820s, 30s. Who are you hunting if they all died? If they're gone? What are you doing? What are you in business for? How did you open this business? You're hunting somebody. Who are you hunting? So, yes, I need statistics. I need to know how many Muslims were there in 1492. What was the population look like in 1492? I want to know what that population looked like. I want to know what the population looked like at the time of the expulsion of Muslims in 1609, 1614. I want to know a lot of things. I'm not sure I have this information. And I need a lot of research to keep on going and keep on hunting to find out numbers. And yes, Spain is key. Because if you want to understand what's going on in today's world, understand Spain. Definitely. Because it's as close of Islam in Europe as you can ever bring it. And everything from the Islamophobia machine that launched the discourse of Islam is spread by the sword, everything is born from that. Came all from that Islamic experience, this Islam in Europe experience. We have to really understand it. Camino in Santiago, what happened, why they were marching Santiago, why there was this Hajj, they do this Hajj until today. This Hajj was the road of Islamophobia. For 400 years marching to take on the Muslim land. 400 years marching. Hey, we hate Muslims. Yeah, we hate them. Why do we hate them? They kind of build bridges and roads. Oh, really? That's why we hate them? No, we kind of want to, seriously, this whole building up why we hate them, how much money is invested in Islamophobia today? When I hear the numbers, I remember Camino de Santiago. Immediately, I go back, oops, I read this before. I saw this before. Sorry.